Good morning, geometry class. I hope you don't miss me too much. It's been a whole day, and I'm sure you're devastated. We're going to start chapter 3, and we're going to talk. So get out your notes and get started on this. Honestly, I know that this is one of the kind of easier section, but it's one of the sections that we will do that I think you'll understand. So that's one of the reasons why this has actually worked out well. However, it is something that's new for some of you. So as we go through this, please make sure that you give yourself an open mind, go at it the best you can. Remember tomorrow your groups, what you'll be in, the teacher will give you that assignment. At the end, I have them highlighted on the piece of paper, and they will tell you who is in what group. All right, so let's start to talk about geometry. This is chapter 3, 3.1. And so we're going to talk about parallel lines and transversal. So first off, before we get started, can somebody tell me what a parallel line is? All right, parallel line. Please don't blurt out, Caleb. I know you like to do that every once in a while. Caleb, we're going to really be cautious here. You're going to have to listen to my voice and then you answer. Okay, so Katie, can you help me, remind us what the definition of parallel lines are? There's two things that make up parallel lines. The first one is what, Katie? All right, good. The first one is that they are in the same plane. That's true. And then what else do we know about parallel lines? Joel. All right, Joel, you stole my coffee cup. I see that. Give it back to me, please. I need my coffee cup. Joel, the second one is what? So it's in the same plane when they never intersect. Lines that never intersect. So we have parallel lines. We know that they're parallel and that they're going to run the exact same across here. So here's an example. So here's an example of parallel lines. I'm sorry, I got to turn on my little pointer here. All right. So here's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about lines, and if they're parallel, they're never going to intersect. Well, if they never intersect, when you draw what is called a transversal, and a transversal is a line. Okay, so we have here, you see this line right here, this line T. Line T is a transversal that runs in between two lines. Okay, and so what you're going to see is that divides this up into sections, and we're going to go over those sections here momentarily. So we have what is called corresponding, we have alternate exterior, alternate interior, and consecutive interior. Now watch carefully with me. I hope you'll understand this. So when you do corresponding, okay, when you do the corresponding, how you know what a corresponding angle is, and you can see they wrote it up here for you. So you're going to need to draw this on your paper and you're going to follow this, but I'm going to show you how you visualize seeing this. What you're going to do, all right, hold on a second, sorry. For some reason, it doesn't think that I'm doing anything. It's probably because you guys are messing with my computer, my projector. All right, hold on a second. Let's see. There we go. All right. So corresponding is when you take the top line and you slide it down and you set it right on top. So whatever one that corresponds, they go together. So you'll see 1 and 3, they correspond. 2 and 4, 5 and 7, 6 and 8. So notice what you did again. You cut the line in half, you slid it down and put it right on top. So corresponding angles is exactly that. So it's going to be 1 and 3, 2 and 4, 5 and 7, 6 and 8. And all you're doing is sliding that down and setting it right on top. Okay? Now, the next one is alternate exterior. Alternate exterior. Now watch carefully. Alternate exterior. So, first off, what does exterior mean? Exterior, Elisa. Elisa, can you answer that for me? Yes. Outside. If it's outside, it's exterior. So, if you're looking at your transversal, can someone name for me, Brandon, I'm going to ask you, Brandon, tell me some angles that are exterior. 1, good. 1, that's correct. And another one, Brady? 5, awesome. Brady, good, got it, 5. 1 and 5 are exterior. How about 4 and 8? Anybody would guess that those would be? Yeah. So we have alternate exterior angles are what? So they have to alternate. So let me ask you a question. Do they look like they alternate? No, they're next to each other, so they're not alternating. Alternating would be on this side of the transversal and on this side of the transversal. So exterior, outside, and alternating. So what would that be? 1 and, oh, hold on a second. Jake, answer that for me. So if they alternate and they're on the outside, it would be 1 and 8, 5, and 4. Good. 1 and 8, 5, and 4. Anybody have any questions? So corresponding, what do we do to do corresponding again, Sarah? All right, Sarah, the corresponding would be slide it down and set it right on top. Good job. And what are alternate and exterior is when they are outside, so 1 and 8, 5, and 4. Now, so the next one is alternate interior. Now, what is alternate interior? So Johan, what does it mean to be interior? It means inside of the parallel lines. Good. Inside. So what angles are inside a parallel line? All right, 2, 6, 3, and 7. Now watch. What are alternating? So they alternate on either side of the transversal. So what pairs would those be? What pairs would those be? Ian? 2 and 7? 3 and 6. Good. So alternate interior is going to be 3 and 6, 2 and 7. So that's what you see here in this drawing. You don't need to write this stuff down. The descriptions don't write down. Just simply write down these angles. Have this drawing so you know what that looks like. Now, last one is consecutive interior. So once again, what does interior mean, Brenton? What does interior mean? It means where? Inside. Good. So consecutive interior. So now, remember I told you what's consecutive. So what would be consecutive here? 2 and 6, 3 and 7. Good. Those two together are interior and they're consecutive. All right, 2 and 6. All right, I'm sorry, 2 and 3. Sorry, 2 and 3, they're consecutive. It's 6 and 7. All right, so 2 and 3, 6 and 7. Any questions on that? All right, good. So when we talk about parallel lines and we talk about transversals, we have 4 types of angles that can be identified: corresponding, alternate exterior, alternate interior, and consecutive interior. All right? Okay, so now, here's a postulate that goes with it. It says this: if 2 parallel lines cut by a transversal, then the corresponding angles are congruent. So now, here's the key. Everybody let's go back here. If you look at this, you will see that these corresponding angles, 1 and 3, 2 and 4, 5 and 7, 6 and 8, according to this definition and this postulate, this postulate right here, corresponding angle postulate 3, 1, 1, you will see that it says what? That they are congruent. They are congruent. All right. Now, does everybody understand that? Anybody have any questions on that? So, corresponding angles are congruent. All right. So, we're going to skip this transversal. That's not a huge deal. Now, so let's look at this drawing. Find the measure of each angle if angle 4, right here, is 53. The red angles indicate parallel. Now remember what we just talked about is that if they were corresponding, if those corresponding angles are parallel. So look at our drawing here. Everybody don't blurt it out. I know, Johan, you're excited. Johan, calm down. So now, Johan, here's the question. Angle 4 is 53. What angle corresponds with 54? And what angle corresponds? Somebody tell me what that angle is. And then the answer is 2. Great. That is correct. The answer is 2. So let me ask you a question. Angle 2 and angle 4 are corresponding. So what would that make them? Remember back to our definition, the postulate 3.11. Brandon? They would be congruent. That's correct. So your answer, the red indicates parallel. So angle 2 is going to be congruent. So if angle 4 is 53, what's angle 2? If they're congruent, Brenton, 53. Good. Next, what's the next one? Angle 7. Now, angles 4 and angle 7 are what kind of angles? Let's review this. This is from chapter 2. This is from chapter 2. Jake, what is angle 7? Aha, good. Angle 7, they're vertical because they're across the vertex. And we know, because we learned this, you guys learned this, 4 and 7 are congruent. So therefore, what is angle 7, class? 53. Well done. All right, next, angle 5. Now let's think about this for a second. Angle 2 is 53. Angle 2 and angle 5 are what type of angles? Somebody help me out. Elisa, that is correct. They are vertical angles. So what would that make angle 5? Sarah, 53. Good. That is correct. Now, last one. This one's a little harder. Angle 3 is here, and we're going to give this to Katie. So Katie, we start thinking here. If this is 53, what kind of angles are 3 and 4? What kind of angles are they? First off, answer that question. What kind of angles are there? And they are a linear pair. That is correct. And we talked about linear pairs. They add up to how many degrees? 180. Good. Katie, that's correct. So what would we do to get our answer if this is 180 degrees and this one's 53? What is number 3? 180 minus 53, and the answer is 127. All right, good. I hope you paid attention. This is what you're going to be doing with these information. So today we learned 4 different kind of angles: corresponding, alternate exterior, alternate interior, and consecutive interior. All right, now we're going to move on to a new one. Alternate exterior. So let's think about this for a second, real quick, and while you're thinking about it, alternate exterior, give me an alternate exterior angle, Brenton. Brenton, yes, good job. 1 and 8, that is correct. And 5 and 4. So, because they're alternate exterior, what can we see? What do we know? Well, watch. 1 and 3 are congruent. 2 and 4 are congruent. So, let me ask you, 1 and 3 are congruent. Has everybody got that? Yes. What is 3 and 8? What kind of angles are they? They're vertical angles. Good, Grayson. Grayson, that's a great job. Now, Grayson, if 3 and 8 are congruent, what does that make 1 and 3? They're also congruent. Why? What property have we learned that tells you A equals B, B equals C, A equals C? So in other words, angle 3 equal to 8, angle 3 equal to 1, 1 equals 8. And that's what the next theorem says. Your first theorem, alternate exterior angle theorem, says this. If you have 2 parallel lines, we have parallel lines, right? Then the alternate exterior angles are congruent, which we did say. All right? So let's go to a statement and reasons. Here's your reasons. Okay? Remember, this here is our symbol for parallel. So A is parallel to B with transversal T, which we have. Why is that? That's the given. Now, we talked about 1 and 3 being congruent. Why are 1 and 3 congruent? The reason they're congruent, Sarah, is because of postulate 3.1.1, which is corresponding angle postulate. Okay, because remember, the corresponding angles that are congruent. Good. Now, I also told you that 3 and 8 are congruent. Why are 3 and 8 congruent? Jake? Yes, vertical angles. So we have vertical angles, we have corresponding angles. So now remember, now watch carefully. 1 is congruent to 3, 3 is congruent to 8, therefore 1 is congruent to 8. What property tells us that? Transitive property is correct. And so there's your proof that alternate exterior angles are congruent. All right? Any questions on that one? An answer, I'm sorry, let me take it back. Anybody have any questions? No, Caleb, you can't go to the bathroom. Caleb, no, sit down, no bathroom break. We are working hard today. I am right now walking up some steps in Israel, so just bear with me. I'm starting to breathe hard. Okay, all right, back to alternate interior angles. All right, and I know this lesson's taken long. I get it, but I told you that you'll have tomorrow to work on homework. So just work with me, pay attention. If you need to listen to it a second time, go to my YouTube page, subscribe. Give me some subscribers. I only have 1 so far. Maybe Ian subscribed to me, so I have a whole of 2. But subscribe so you can watch it on your own, just in case you have any questions when you get home. All right, now the next one, our next one, alternate interior angle theorem. Now this theorem is a little different, but it's very similar to the one we just did. It is alternate interior angle theorem. Now this one has 2 parallel lines. They're cut, remember, 2 parallel lines. Now remember, what does alternate interior mean? Alternate interior angle, Brady. Brady, I want you to give me alternate interior angles of this. Looking at this, what are the alternate interior angles? All right, Brady. 1, no, that's correct. 2 and 7, that is right. And 6 and 3, good. Now, so 2 and 7, 6 and 3. Now, what it says is if they are parallel, if the lines are parallel, which we know they are, then the alternate interiors, so 6 and 3 and 2 and 7, are going to be what kind of angles? Very good. Congruent. Why? Why? Think about it. Now watch carefully. So we have 2 and 4 are going to be congruent. 4 and 7 are going to be congruent. 7 is congruent to 2. Therefore, 1, 2, and 4 are going to be congruent. Okay? And so it makes it pretty self-explanatory. All right? So let's go back once again. Let me show you one more time. 1, you have 2 and 4 are congruent because they're y. What kind of angles are they? They're corresponding angles. So then you have 4 and 7 are congruent. Why? Because they're vertical angles. They're vertical. They're across the vertex. Okay? Now, that being said, you now have 2 and 4, 4 and 7. Therefore, 2 and 7 are congruent, and 3 and 6 are going to be congruent. And therefore, you have corresponding, your alternate interior angles are congruent. All right? Okay, now, the last one. So we've done 3 out of 4. Corresponding, alternate interior, alternate exterior. The last one is consecutive interior angles. Now watch. The consecutive interior, it's going to be different, but you look at it. Through 2 and 3, 7 and 6. Now think about this with me. 5 and 7 are what kind of angles? That is correct. They are congruent. They're congruent angles. So, that being said, what we know is this, that 5 and 7 are equal. So class, let me ask you a question. What do we know about 5 and 6? What do we know about 5 and 6? Joel, I want you to answer this. What do you know about 5 and 6? What kind of angles are they? They are, that's close. Linear pairs, yes. So what do we know about linear pairs, which they're supplementary, which means they add up to 180 degrees. So therefore, 5 and 6 add up to 180 degrees. Remember, 5 and 7 are what? Congruent, that's correct. So therefore, that means 6 and 7 are going to equal 180 degrees. So look at it carefully with me. It says this. If they're parallel lines, then the consecutive interior angles are going to be supplementary. We just talked that through with you. All right? All right, any questions? Anybody have any questions about that right there? All right, so that is the biggest part of this lesson. It is hard. I know it's hard, and I know it's going to take you some time to understand. But we will review a little bit tomorrow with those as we go into the next lesson. But you need to take the time to look this over and do homework tonight. Now, the next thing in this lesson is perpendicular transversal theorem. Now, watch carefully. Let's go through it together. All right? And we're almost done, and I know this is a little bit longer lesson than I normally have, but I wanted to teach it all because you're going to take a whole long time tomorrow to work on it. And it says this. If a transversal is perpendicular to one of 2 parallel lines, okay, so if we have a transversal, okay, remember a transversal is something that cuts it in half, okay, cuts it down, and these 2 lines are parallel. What it's going to say is this, that if it's perpendicular to one, in other words, if it's perpendicular to one, then it's going to be perpendicular to the other. Now, why would that be true? So let's think about that for a second. I know they didn't draw one for you here, so I'll draw one and show you. Now think about this for a second. Remember, what kind of angles are these? Okay, these 2 angles, what kind of angles are they? Somebody in the class tell me what kind of angles these 2 are. They are corresponding, that is correct. So what do we know about corresponding angles? They are what? Congruent. What do we know about perpendicular? We know that they're both right angles. So therefore, class, think about this carefully with me. If they're perpendicular here, that means that's 90. That means this one's congruent as well. It's the same answer. It's 90. That's why they're perpendicular to both. So if they're parallel, then they're perpendicular to both. That is the perpendicular transversal theorem. All right? So let's look carefully at our little drawings, and this is what you're going to have to do majority of. And so I'll give you an example, and then I'll send you on your way in homework, okay? All right, here we go. Find the measure of each numbered angle. Angle 1, right here, is 7y minus 15. Angle 2, right here, is 10y plus 11. Now let's think this through for a second. We have two, what are these called? These are both what? Somebody help me out. What are those things called? They're parallel lines. Good, good. They're parallel lines. Now, with those parallel lines, all right, well, they didn't do it for you, so I'm going to have to do it on the board. So bear with me as I get my pen. Now look, parallel lines, these are parallel. What kind of angle is this one? Okay, and this one, right here. They're going to be alternate interior. Very good. Well done. Well done. So 7y minus 15 is here, which is also here. 7y minus 15. Now listen, what we're trying to find is what y is and these angles are. So carefully watch with me. So if you have this and this be equal, let me ask you this question. What are these two? Now, I'm going to write this here. This is 10y plus 11. What do we know about these two lines right here? Okay, I'm going to draw this just in case you see blurry. What is this going to be? These two add up to what? Somebody help me out. Those two angles add up to 180. So watch carefully. Here we go. 7y minus 15 plus 10y plus 11 equals 180. So now we can do our problem. So we go with our first thing. What do we do first? We have to distribute here. So 10y plus 110 equals 180. We carry down the plus minus 15 and 7y. Now what do? We combine like terms. Good, combine like terms. So plus 15 minus 110 minus 110. So that cancels this out, that cancels this out. What are we left with on this side? 7 plus 10 is 17y equals. So, class, 180 minus 110 is? 180 minus 110 is? 70. Good. 70 plus 15 is? 85. So 17y equals 85. Divide by 17, divide by 17. Y equals, somebody? 5. So now, what you know is that y is equal to 5. Make sure you can see this. Oh man, it's perfect. Perfect. No one can even complain. I'll pause for a second because a lot of you are still writing. All right. Elisa, do you understand? No? Yes? Okay. So what? Everybody, are you confused with this right here? I have a feeling some of you got confused here. Watch what I did. I know I kind of cheated a little bit. Remember, 110, it's positive, so it's minus. And then I moved the 15 over. So 180 minus 110 is 70, plus 15 is 85. Okay, so I did cheat a little bit there, but I think you catch on with it. Now, we take our 5 and we plug it back in. We do substitution. 7 times 5 plus minus 15. Well, 7 times 5 is 35. Minus 15 is 20. So, angle 1 is really going to be a 20. Okay? Now, can I find any other ones? Yep. All right, so here we go. That means angle 2 is how much? If that's 20, then this is 20, right? And angle 4 is 20. So what's angle 2 going to be? Well, 180 minus 20 is 160. So what's angle 3 going to be? 160. Good. What if this is a right angle? What's angle 5? 90. Good. So if this is supposed to be 90, and you subtract 20, what's angle 6 going to be? 90 minus 20 is 70. Good. So there's your answers. So what they're going to be giving you in your questions and what you're going to be having to do is you're going to have to answer that kind of information. I'm going to leave this up for a second, and then I'm going to give you your homework assignment you can work on for homework tonight. I want you to do some of it tonight. Remember, you're going to do some tonight, and then what will happen is you will have some tonight. I want you to try on your own. Remember, you're to try these on your own. So page 111, 1 through 18. Okay, those are the more easier problems, but you should be able to figure those out by yourself. Tomorrow in class, when you go into group exercises, you will do number 19 through number 31. 19, so tomorrow in class as a group, 19 through 31. Okay, so you'll work on that together, and you will turn in, remember, with different ink. Okay, this has one color ink, and this has the second color ink. Thanks so much. Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.